All right, Panther fans, good news. Buddy of mine was at the ice stand yesterday, and look what he saw. Aaron Ekblad back out on the ice. It's a short little clip. I'm going to let it play a few times here. So if you notice, he's doing exactly what he should do. Not that I'm a doctor, but he's just taking it nice and easy. You know, you can tell that he's just kind of testing out those shins, the ankles, you know, testing out those lower legs, not being overly sharp with the cuts, taking it nice and slow. There's a couple times you see that one of those legs kind of lift up, up off the ice where maybe he's not feeling 100% comfortable, putting a lot of pressure on that. But this is still really, really good to see. It's really good to see. What are we? We're still in July, right? He doesn't really have, so you got July, you got another 4 weeks before September even starts, and then camp begins, and so this is really good news. And the one thing I will say, from my own personal previous experience, I would venture a guess that the core muscles are going to he's probably going to fill out a little bit. And I mean that in a good way. What I mean is that, when you're skating like that, you're holding, you're not wanting to just consistently put all that weight on your lower legs, so your hips and your core muscles are taking a lot of the heat, taking a lot of the action there. So that's going to help build him up. He's probably going to come back stronger than before. He may not be faster right off the bat, okay? We saw that with Huberdeau. It took him a little while to play into shape. Trocheck, it took a whole freaking season for him to play into shape. But with Ekblad, I would venture a guess he may come back maybe 5-10 pounds heavier. Just my guess, because when you're working like that, you are just blasting those core muscles. So it's good to see all the way around. Absolutely thrilled to see that. There's really no news going on right now. I mean, the Panthers just they did what they did, and right now everybody's just kind of waiting on Reinhart. And I did want to touch on that a little bit, because I did come out yesterday that they're working on a deal, and it looks like it's going to get done, and the figure is between 6 and 7. There's a big gap in there between 6 and 7. I was hoping for closer to 6 because we obviously have cap issues, but I have a feeling it's going to be closer to 6.5, maybe 6 3/4. Where that has an effect down the road is Huberdeau. I wanted to just kind of do a little bit of a contrast and compare between those two. And what I saw was what I kind of figured I'd get, with the exception of a couple things. Looks like Reinhart scores goals at a little bit of a quicker pace, but Huberdeau has a ton more assists. So overall, Huberdeau gets more points. I think Huberdeau's stat was 0.84 points a game over his career, and with Reinhart it was 0.64. So that's almost a quarter of a goal of difference per game. So it's palpable. So whatever Reinhart gets, Huberdeau's gonna. We already knew Huberdeau was gonna get more. So the more that Reinhart gets, that's a little bit more that Huberdeau's probably looking at. So if Reinhart came in at 6, you might be able to sell Huberdeau on 8. But if Reinhart gets 7, then Hugh might look at 9, and then you got to take Barkov. So it all starts to stack together, and we've already seen Zito pay guys a little bit more money than we kind of thought that they would get. I'm not saying they're bad contracts, and I'm not saying they're not worth it, but I think like the Bennett deal was definitely $500,000 more than everybody kind of sort of thought. Duclair was pretty much what I thought, but that's a deal that can look like a steal if he finds a scoring touch. So there's no real complaint there. The Montour deal, though, was definitely a little bit more money, and I've seen a lot of mixed opinions about the Montour deal. Me personally, I was surprised that he was the guy. Not anything against him. He played decent while he was here. Obviously an offensive defenseman. I was surprised that we didn't go out and get a legit $4.5 million top 4 defenseman, so that we either put him up and move Gudas down, or we've got a really good player on the bottom. So when he got the money he got, I definitely thought that was a little bit more money by about $500,000. So these little $500,000 things are adding up. And the only thing I'll say, like I said before, is Zito is handing out money as though he doesn't anticipate paying $10 million for a goalie for too long. And I'm not talking about this year or even next year. But he's handing out extra half millions like he anticipates that 10 to become 5 or 6 because we're splitting the salary with somebody else. That's just my personal opinion. We all know at some point if Spencer Knight becomes Vasilevsky, we've got to move Bob. That's just facts, right? So, because we can't pay both, right? Eventually, if Spencer Knight becomes Vasilevsky, Spencer Knight's going to need Vasilevsky money. You can't pay $19.5 million to your goaltenders, and we ain't going to get rid of Spencer Knight. So that's just facts. That's got nothing to do with I don't like Bob or anything like that. So all these little $500,000, they are starting to add up a little bit. And there's only one way out of that eventually, and that is to eventually move Bob. The only other thing that I noticed in the statistics was penalty minutes. I think that if I remember correctly, off the top of my head, the most penalty minutes that Reinhart had in the complete season was 26. And Huberdeau has not had a complete season where he had less than 30, I think it is. There's a big disparity in penalty minutes. Huberdeau takes a ton more penalties. Now, I like Huberdeau when he plays with his edge, so that's not a complaint. It's more, and I don't really think of Huberdeau as a guy that takes a lot of penalties. I'm interested to see how Reinhart plays where he takes so few penalties. We've seen it with Barkov. So if we're putting him up there with Barkov and Reinhart, I mean, I think last year Reinhart had like 20 or 30 minutes of penalties. I mean, it was some small amount. And the disparity between the two over their career is pretty big. So I found that to be interesting because Reinhart doesn't take a lot of penalties, neither does Barkov. And I didn't look for Hagee's penalties, but I don't really, I didn't get the sense from him that he's a big penalty guy. So that top line may be one that can consistently stay on the ice and not get us called against. All right, that was it. It's real short today. Not a whole lot going on, so I didn't want to, I was waiting to see if one of these contracts would get signed. It's not happening right now, that's for sure. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock, I'm going to do a live stream, all right? I'm going to try to keep up on these, at least for the next, what do we got? How many more Sundays till football? 3 or 4 more Sundays like that, and then I'll have to switch it up. But for now, Sunday at 5 o'clock seems to be the best time. I take Matthias home. I can come home, take a nap, and do the live stream, and it works out. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. We are not done with the special guests. We have just started. Now this week I already know I have one fan special guest. That's not one that Stu is bringing with the connections. That's just a fan. That's a different animal. But we have surprises loaded. We have surprises loaded in the chamber. Let's just put it that way. So you don't want to miss. It's. You thought George was good and Randy was good and Billy, that was the best one because technically we're getting better at these. The technical aspects of the video is looking a little bit better. We've got more to come. That's all I'll say about that. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll try to put out a video before the live stream at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And somebody signs somebody so I can make another video.